actually see behind my Zoom background. And then following that, I'd like to speak about the University of Dundee. So the types of programs we offer, entry requirements, scholarships. I hope to cover it all. So if you just bear with me for one moment, I have a presentation I'd like to share with you all. Okay. So I hope where you are has slightly better weather than I have at the moment, because where I am just outside of Dundee, it is snowing currently. A bit of a freak incident for February, but that is Scottish weather for you. So starting off, I'd like to speak a little bit about studying in the UK and studying in Scotland. The United Kingdom is internationally recognised for its quality of education. For hundreds of years, we've had, many famous academics all the way from the Enlightenment, and we have many prestigious schools and universities. And degrees from the UK are highly regarded all across the world. Degrees are generally shorter, and they help to reduce fees and living expenses. But the UK itself is a multicultural society, so the UK welcomes students from all across the globe, and Scotland and the UK, they're welcoming places. We love international students, love to hear about different cultures, different stories, so a very welcoming place. And Scotland itself, not that I'm biased, is a very beautiful country as well. So, of course, maybe the first thing that you think of is the Scottish Highlands and Loch Ness, which of course are absolutely stunning. We have great cities as well, like Dundee, Edinburgh, Glasgow. We have historic sites across the country, Edinburgh Castle, the Royal and Ancient Golf Clubhouse in St Andrews. We have music festivals in Glasgow and in Edinburgh, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival every summer. So Scotland, in my biased opinion, is a beautiful country, very welcoming country, and many great experiences to be had. Now, where is Dundee? So Dundee is a city in Scotland. It's a slightly smaller city, so we have a population of around 150,000. But personally, that's something that I really like about the place. So on one hand, you have everything that a standard city would usually offer, so shops, restaurants, cafes. But with Dundee having that slightly smaller population, it has a nice community feel to the place. It doesn't feel like you're one in a million in a massive city. So Dundee itself is situated on the banks of the River Tay, and we're around about an hour and a half north of Edinburgh, which is the capital city of Scotland, and around about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from Glasgow, which is the largest city in Scotland, but is not the capital. A lot of international students will fly into Glasgow or Edinburgh Airport and then travel to Dundee. Dundee does have an airport, but it is a smaller airport, so the flights that you can catch from there tend to go to the likes of London, certain times of the year, Belfast and Amsterdam, but the flights are limited. And with studying in Scotland, international students have the great opportunity to explore not only my own country, but so many great destinations across the UK and Europe as well. So with London being 6 hours away by train, 1 hour by plane, great chance for international students to go and explore there. But you also have international destinations like Amsterdam, an hour and a half away from Edinburgh, Paris, 1 hour 45, Barcelona, 2 to 3 hours. I can name many more. And here is a picture of Dundee from the Fife side of the Tay Bridge. And hopefully you can see what a scenic place Dundee is. So we're situated on the banks of the River Tay. This is the Tay Bridge to the right-hand side of the screen. And the city itself is beneath Dundee Law, which nowadays is a hill, but many, many years ago was once a volcano. National Geographic, Vogue, Condé Nast, and Skyscanner have all said that Dundee is a must-visit destination, and it's the UK's first and only UNESCO City of Design. And as I mentioned earlier, because of Dundee's slightly smaller population, it really does have a close-knit community feel to the place. And that's one of the reasons why the Times has said it's one of Scotland's best places to live. And Dundee, like a lot of Scotland, is a very green and stunning natural environment. So we've already seen the pictures of the River Tay and Dundee Law, but not far from Dundee, you can find national nature reserves, you can find forests, beaches, mountains, lochs. So loch is a Scottish word for a lake, and glens within easy reach. So many great and scenic destinations around Dundee and around Scotland as well. Now, moving on from Dundee the city to the University of Dundee, I'd like to speak briefly about some of our rankings. So in the Guardian University Guide 2022, we were ranked 31st in the UK, so just outside the top 30. We're one of the world's top 250 universities, and we're a top 50 university for impact. Also, to add to that, on the career side of things, we are #1 in Scotland and #4 in the UK for graduates entering professional occupations. And lastly, we're #1 in Scotland and #4 in the UK for overall average student satisfaction. Now, the University of Dundee is a campus university, and our campus is within the heart of the city. So the city's train station, shops, restaurants are all just a short distance away from the university campus. At present, we have around 12,500 students on campus, and within our fantastic campus, you can find student accommodation, the sports centre with sports facilities throughout the campus. We have world-leading laboratories, an award-winning students' union, and within the students' union, we have close to 200 different student societies. So for example, we have a society called the Tea Society, which is for people that enjoy drinking tea and are passionate about tea. But we also have societies such as the Indian Society, so for students that come from India. So lots to get involved with for societies and for sports clubs. We have your more standard sports like football and cricket. We also have more obscure sports that you can get involved with as well. Now, accommodation at the University of Dundee. So accommodation is guaranteed for all new first years as long as they apply by advertised deadlines. And the way that accommodation works at Dundee is that students will be in an accommodation complex with 4 to 5 other students, and each student will have their own private bedroom and private bathroom, but students will have shared living facilities and a shared kitchen area. And personally, I think that's really nice because you have your own privacy, you have your own space, but through having this shared facility, this is where you can meet new students and meet your flatmates, and also have that nice social side to university that a lot of people desire. As I've spoken about previously, accommodation is close to what the city has to offer: shops, train station, but also the Victoria and Albert Museum, which is a design museum and is the second of its kind in the world. The first Victoria and Albert Museum is in London. With accommodation fees, Wi-Fi is included, as well as personal possessions insurance, utility bills, and we do have a security team on campus 24 hours a day. The university itself also has a welfare team and a support team for any students that just do need a bit of support. Safety. So Dundee is one of the safest places to study in the United Kingdom. We're ranked 2nd in the UK for safety. Now, moving on to the academic side of studying at Dundee. So the university has 10 academic schools, and I'm going to broadcast them to you now. So within these 10 academic schools, various degree programs are contained, but under these wider brackets, we have the Duncan and Jordanson College of Art and Design, we have the School of Business, we have Dentistry, Education and Social Work, Health Sciences, Humanities, Life Sciences, Medicine, Science and Engineering, and the School of Social Sciences. So as you can hopefully see, here at Dundee, we do cover a wide variety of different degree programs, and that's one of the many reasons why we're such an attractive university to lots of prospective students. Now, I put a little note at the bottom of this slide here because I believe this question was submitted in advance. Do we have any top-up programs for final year entry? Unfortunately, we don't have any top-up programs available for final year entry. And to cover another question that was submitted, here at the University of Dundee, we have a department called International College Dundee, which is referred to as ICD. And ICD is where students can enroll on pre-bachelor's and pre-master's programs, where they may not have the required qualifications to matriculate directly into a specific bachelor's or a specific master's. So through ICD, students can go through programs such as IIBs, International Incorporated Bachelors, or IIMs, quite a tricky one to say, International Incorporated Masters. And through these programs, they'll be taught through International College Dundee, and then will enroll into a bachelor's or a master's program. So we have that available for students that don't quite meet our entry requirements. And ICD also supports with students that don't quite meet our English language requirements. So we have pre-sessional English language programs that range from 4 weeks in length up to 12 weeks in length. Now that moves us on quite nicely to English language requirements at the university. So English language requirements do vary from region to region and qualification undertaken to qualification undertaken. But for students that do require an English language test, there are various tests that we accept. One of the most common is the IELTS test, but we do also accept tests such as TOEFL, Pearson, Trinity, Cambridge Advanced Certificate. Each course webpage will list the IELTS requirement that a student will need if the student does require an English language test. The reason I say if the student requires an English language test is because there are certain qualifications we can accept that will mean the student does not need to take an English language test. So for example, if a student has obtained a B in GCSE English or A-level English, just to name a couple of qualifications, within the last 7 years, and 7 years applies to all of the qualifications accepted, then the student won't need to take an English language test. And our English language webpage lists all of the qualifications we accept and all of the English language tests that we accept. Now, I believe this question was also submitted in advance. What are the entry requirements for students from India? So we do have a University of Dundee India webpage that contains all this information. I'm sure Gareth will be able to pass on the information as well if you do want to be reminded of what's required, but I'll go through it now. So for undergraduate year 1 entry, we're looking for students to have good results, so 60% plus overall in the CBSE, ISE or leading state board 12 exams. If students are applying to medicine or dentistry, however, we do require higher academic results. So we're looking for a minimum of 85% or above and 85% and above in chemistry, another science subject, and a third subject. Now, one thing that I haven't quite covered yet is that bachelor's degrees in Scotland can differ from bachelor's degrees in England. And the reason I say that is you can find that bachelor's degrees in Scotland are actually 4 years in length instead of 3. One of the reasons for that is that Scottish universities will allow more flexibility during year 1 and year 2 for a variety of subjects. So students can try out different subjects that they didn't apply for initially. And for a lot of students who really enjoy this, a 4-year programme, getting to try out different subjects. But I do realise that for some international students, that extra year does come with an extra year of tuition fees. So here at Dundee, for some programmes, we offer year 2 entry for bachelors. So that means that students will start in second year of the programme, and because they'll study for 3 years in total, they won't have to pay that 4th year of tuition fees. So for subjects that we have year 2 entry for, we're looking for 75% and above in 4 subjects, including subjects relevant to the chosen course. So for example, for maths, we'd be looking for 75% or above in maths. But medicine and dentistry, for example, they're subjects that don't have second year entry available. Now, top postgraduate programs. So if you have attended the University of Delhi, University of Mumbai, Calcutta, IITs and IIMs, we're looking for a bachelor's degree with 55% or above. All other institutions, just to give you an equivalence, if we're looking for a 2-1 degree, then we will need 60% or above in your bachelor's. For a 2-2, 50% or above. And for law applicants, 55% or above. For those that want to study a PhD or a postgraduate research programme, we'd be looking for a master's degree from a central university or a centre of advanced study, or an MSc in engineering technology. You must submit your degree transcripts. Now, I think we've had a few questions about this already, applying to Dundee. So the University of Dundee has both a January and a September intake. For most of our programmes, there will be a September intake, but only for some of our programmes, we'll have a January intake as well. Here at the university, we aim for a turnaround time of 5 working days for applications. And working days here at Dundee are Monday to Friday, but this does exclude national holidays such as, for example, over the Christmas and New Year period. If a student is missing any documentation, then we will email the student and ask for that particular document to be uploaded. Now, our next intake is September 2022, and the deadline for most subjects for September entry is the 1st of September, but I realise that students may want to apply before then because it's quite a tight turnaround between the application deadline and classes starting in the month of September. Deposit and payment plans. I believe a few questions were submitted about this. So currently here at Dundee, we have a £2,000 deposit payment requirement. For tuition fees, students can pay their tuition fees in one lump sum if that is desirable, or it can be paid over 7 monthly instalments if that is preferable. For a CAS to be released, we need the following. We need the student to meet all of their conditions, for all relevant documents to be uploaded, for their deposit to be paid, for our pre-CAS checklist to be reviewed and completed by the student, and we need the student to complete a study on campus form. Now, the study on campus form is a form that asks the student when they intend to arrive in Dundee. And currently, we do not conduct any pre-CAS interviews. And before I move on, this picture here is of the Victoria and Albert Design Museum that I mentioned earlier in my presentation. Now, employability and career development. So in 2021, the Guardian University Guide said we were #1 in Scotland and top 10 in the UK for career prospects. Similarly, the Complete University Guide said we were #2 in Scotland for graduate prospects. And here at the University of Dundee, we have a career service. Now, the career service is a department at the university with full-time members of staff that can support students in finding part-time jobs, graduate jobs, internships, can help with writing CVs, cover letters, interview skills. And throughout the semester, the Career Centre will try to organise masterclasses and presentations from employers. They'll invite study providers onto campus. And this all leads me to the point I'm delighted to announce, and that is that our career service is now for life. So even when students graduate from Dundee, whether it was 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, they will still be able to come back and get advice and support from careers professionals within the career service at Dundee. So really happy to announce that. What we do say to students, however, is that students will have to go to the career service. The career service won't come to them. But if they go to the career service, they have experts within careers to help and support them. Now, I believe a question was also submitted about internships. So if a student is on any of the following courses, Masters in Management, International Business, Banking Finance, International Finance, International Marketing, Islamic Finance, or Business Analytics, then they can apply to go on an 8-week internship through our partners at Pagoda Projects. And Pagoda Projects currently have internship opportunities in China, Mexico, Vietnam, and Manchester. So at the moment, it's only for the business programs that are on screen, but for students within these programs, I do really think it's a fantastic opportunity, and I would definitely encourage them to apply for one of these 8-week internships. Tuition fees. So tuition fees do vary course by course. The best advice I could give is to go to the specific course webpage to find out what the exact tuition fees are. To give you a baseline figure for international students, at the undergraduate level, we're looking at roughly £19,500 per year before scholarships. And at the postgraduate level, for classroom-based courses, £19,900 per year before scholarships. Lab-based courses, £24,100. There are a few nuances and different courses that have slightly higher fees, such as clinical courses, art and design, specialist courses. That's why I recommend that first protocol is to go to the exact course webpage and to see what the tuition fees are. And one final point on tuition fees. Here at Dundee, we say that tuition fees won't increase by more than 3% each year. Now, living costs within the city. So we're really proud to announce that Oxford Royale recently ranked Dundee as the most affordable place in the UK for students. And just building on that, the average cost of private rent in Dundee is 44% less than Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, and 25% less than the Scottish national average. So we give estimations for living costs. We say that living costs will range from £7,000 to £8,000 per academic year. So that's for 39 weeks, not 52. But these are educated estimates. So for some students, it may be more. For some students, it may be less, depending on the lifestyle that that student wants to live. And we do have a living cost webpage that gives estimates for monthly costs for food, transport, takeaways, interests and hobbies, because of course you do need to employ yourself as well once you're a student. So again, not an exact science, but at least it gives you an educated starting point when it comes to costing, living costs, whilst at Dundee. And discussing tuition fees and living costs brings me on really nicely to speaking about the fantastic scholarship opportunities we have available. So I know people are probably sick of speaking about it, but as a result of COVID, which hit people across the world so hard in many different ways, our Vice-Chancellor decided that the University of Dundee needed to do something to help students financially as a result of COVID. So the Vice-Chancellor decided to introduce the Vice-Chancellor Scholarship. And currently this is for students from Africa, the EU, and South Asia. And the scholarship is worth £5,000 a year, is deducted from tuition fees, and is available for 5 years in total. So if you were at Dundee for 5 years in total, you'd see a £25,000 reduction in tuition fees. There's no need to apply separately. Our admissions team will look at a student's application, will see that they are from Africa, the EU, South Asia, and will automatically award them with this scholarship. And this is available at both the UG and the PG level. One point I'd like to make is that there are a few subjects where this scholarship is not applicable. At the undergraduate level, that is medicine and dentistry. At the postgraduate level, it's our orthopedic and rehabilitation technology masters, and also our motion analysis masters. So a few subject exemptions. We also have the Global Excellence Scholarship, which is for students that have excelled academically. And at the postgraduate level, it's for students that have achieved the equivalent of a first-class degree in their bachelor's. And at the undergraduate level, it varies from qualification to qualification, but to give you a rough guide, for students that achieve 2 A's and a B at A level, they will be awarded the Global Excellence Scholarship. So the Global Excellence Scholarship is worth £6,000. It's deducted from tuition fees, and you don't need to apply it separately. Again, our admission staff will look at your application, look at your transcripts, and then we'll award it if you meet the criteria. One thing to note, however, is that the Vice Chancellor Scholarship and the Global Excellence Scholarship cannot be combined. It will be one or the other. Similarly, we have a Global Citizen Scholarship, and this is worth £5,000. And the Global Citizen Scholarship is most relevant for students that don't reside within a region that is covered by the Vice Chancellor Scholarship, or they do not meet the criteria for the Global Excellence Scholarship. And what the Global Citizen Scholarship is, it's for students that have similar values and similar beliefs to the University of Dundee. And this scholarship is slightly different because you do need to apply for this. But what we look for is an application that consists of a short essay that explains why you have similar values and similar beliefs to the University of Dundee. And if you can demonstrate that, you'll be awarded a scholarship worth £5,000 per year of study. Moving on, for business students at Dundee, we have the Discover Business Scholarship, which is worth £2,000 and is deducted from tuition fees. Again, don't need to apply for this separately, automatically awarded to all business students. And this can be combined with one of the scholarships I've just spoken about. So say, for example, a business student has achieved the equivalent of a first-class degree in their bachelor's, then they will receive £6,000 as a result of the Global Excellence Scholarship, and £2,000 as part of the Discover Business Scholarship. So an £8,000 scholarship in total for that student. And similarly, we run Islamic finance programs within the School of Business, and we run them in conjunction with Al Maktoum College, which is also situated within the city of Dundee. And for Islamic finance students, we have the Al Maktoum Living Support Scholarship. And this is worth £5,000 for any student studying an Islamic finance program. And this scholarship slightly differs because the £5,000 is paid directly to the student, and it's paid in 10 instalments of £500. And this can be combined with the Vice Chancellor's South Asia Scholarship and the Discover Business Scholarship. So in total, a student from South Asia, for example, that wanted to study an Islamic finance program could see scholarships worth around £12,000 in total. So really proud and really excited about these opportunities. Now, that's not all of the scholarships available. We do have other scholarships, such as the Alumni Scholarship, which is worth £2,000 for students that have had a relative attend the university. There are others that I can mention, but I realise we're limited in our time today. So what I've done is I've just showcased the main scholarships. And I believe that was my final slide. So I hope you enjoyed hearing about the City of Dundee, the University of Dundee, and what we offer. So I'll hand back to Gareth, and I'll be ready to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Jonathan. It was a really informative session. I was already looking forward to making a visit to Dundee, and I'm definitely looking forward to it now.
Great.
I'm sure lots of others are feeling the same way. So yeah, big thanks for that. So you covered a lot of information there. We have had, though, quite a few questions coming through from the chat. So let me just open those up here now. Okay, so yeah, there's a few questions about English language entry requirements, and I have pasted a link there into the chat, so hopefully people can find any particular information they need around the range of English language qualifications you accept. I'm also going to send around at the end a link to the course and university profile page on the Accelerate portal, and there's some information on there as well. But do feel free to refer to the university's page for the most detailed and up-to-date information on that. So a quick question here then, Jonathan, around gaps. So this is to do with if someone's graduated 5 years ago, is there a sort of certain length of time after which you won't accept a candidate? Do you know the answer to that? Oh, you're on mute. I think I need to unmute you, do I? Strange.
There we go. Thank you, Gareth. As for length of time, here at Dundee, that's not really a strict requirement, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because, for example, we recognise the relevance of students that have maybe, completed a bachelor's degree, and then they've went to work in a relevant industry for 10 years, and then now want to come back and do a master's programme that is relevant to their bachelor's and also the career they've been undertaking. So here at Dundee, there's not really actually a strict requirement for the gap in study. The only gap really relates to English language requirements. If a student has taken an A-level in English or a GCSE in English more than 7 years ago, then that wouldn't qualify as an English language test exemption if they had to take an English language test. So on the English language front, there definitely is a gap, which is 7 years or more, and we can't accept the qualification. But on the academic front, not really. We're willing to accept students that have been out of education for a little while. But what would be good would be if, when the student applies, they speak a little bit about what they've done since they were last in education.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, so I think it's something that can be covered in the personal statement, isn't it? Just explaining what you've been doing in the meantime.
Exactly, for sure.
Thank you for that. And a question on offer turnaround time. I think you may have had the answer to that. Was it 5 days?
Yeah, so 5 working days. Working days here at the university are Monday to Friday. And then some exceptions. So for example, the university is closed between Christmas and New Year. So yeah, apart from these exceptions, 5 working days is what we're aiming for.
Brilliant. And question here from Divyesh Soni around applications for nursing, medical, paramedical courses. Are they closed now for the September intake? And medicine would be, I guess, but the others, maybe nursing and...
I think nursing has just closed. It's just closed recently for September entry.
But you do take international students into nursing, is that correct?
Yeah, we do. Right. International students, but yeah, applications are closed.
Could be something for next year then.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan. is there an IELTS waiver? So I think that question relates to students coming from countries like sort of India and Bangladesh, Pakistan, sometimes, where some universities will allow medium of instruction in lieu of a formal English qualification. Do you know, is that the case, or is that something they just need to refer to the website for?
So a bit of both. So the English language webpage lists the qualifications we can accept for an IELTS waiver. And we do have CBSE English language requirement waivers. We also do have some MOI agreements with universities in India, for example, and universities in Pakistan. For these MOI agreements, however, we need the student who have been taught in English and have to have graduated from this university within the past 2 years.
Okay.
Usually we'll just ask for a letter from someone at that university to say this student was taught in English for this degree program.
And
so there are IELTS waivers. Sorry.
Thanks, Jonathan. Do you have a list of which universities then that's accepted from? Is that up there on the website as well?
I'm not sure it's on the website. I can certainly give it to yourself, Cara.
Yeah, you could circulate it and then we can perhaps pass it on or put it up on the portal so people can check it.
Yeah, I've definitely got a list of the ones in India and in Pakistan to hand anyway.
Okay, brilliant. Just good for us to know, and then we can make sure we're not sending applications that are, not from one of those universities for MOI. Great, thank you. So there's a question here, can students apply without IELTS? I think we've covered that and checked the English language requirements there on the website. What's the scholarship available? You gave us some fantastic information on that and a really impressive range of and value of scholarships available. That's fantastic. How much is required for the CAS letter? So I guess that relates to the deposit. You may have had that, I think, in your session there, but
£2,000.
£2,000 deposit, yeah. Thank you. Again, I think that information is on the portal as well, and I'll share a link at the end. I'm going to skip over any other questions around English language requirements because I think we've covered that. Do you know, Jonathan, how long it takes to process a CAS? I guess it varies at certain times of year, and you've got the busy period in August, but approximately as a guide?
It's quite difficult to say. One thing I do know is that we can't release a CAS until at least, I think it's 3 months before the student starts.
Yeah.
So say, for example, if a student did apply now for September, we couldn't even begin the CAS process till June, if my maths is correct. So 3 months before. And as for turnaround time, it's quite tricky to give an exact answer on that, to be honest.
I know.
It's a tough one.
So probably can't provide an accurate answer on that because it will, I think, largely depend on the time of year. And if you're applying during that sort of real bottleneck period around August, it's very challenging for universities to process them quickly at that time, isn't it? So
yeah, for sure. And sometimes because there's quite a few steps to go through. So, for example, the pre-CAS checklist is sent to the student. They need to complete that, send that back. Then we send the study on campus form. They send it back. Sometimes there's a delay between, the student receiving that form and then it being sent back to us. So sometimes we're dependent on the student for the CAS process to proceed. So that's why it's difficult to put an exact time on it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Jonathan. Let's see what else we've got here. We've covered a few of them now already. Any age limit? Is there a kind of minimum? I don't think there's a maximum, but is there a minimum age?
Not that I'm aware of, to be honest. As long as the student has the required qualifications. I mean, usually as a minimum, we'd expect students to have A-levels or, Scottish Highers, and I guess students will take them when they're 16, 17.
Yeah.
So,
I think they need a guardian is normally the case if they need to have a sort of parent or guardian nominated within the UK if they're under the age of, I think it's under the age of 18. So
right, okay.
Same for you. Okay, what else did we have here? Application submission deadline. So I think, probably pretty flexible when it comes to international students, aren't you? But you're going to be running, it comes back, I think, probably to the CAS deadlines in August and just so if someone's aiming to start in September, for example, provided you've still got places on the course, would you still be accepting applications through into August?
1st of September for most subjects.
Brilliant.
There's a few exceptions. I think there's a few subjects at the 30th of June, but for most subjects, 1st of September. But as you've kind of touched upon, Gareth, I'd recommend that students apply before then, because it's such a busy time for admissions to process applications and issue CAS letters.
Yeah.
And the academic term will start just a few weeks into September as well. So most subjects, the deadline is 1st of September, but I recommend you apply before then.
Thanks, Jonathan. That's useful. And in terms of that start of term, is there any flexibility around, do you have sort of latest start dates? The students allowed to arrive up to 2 weeks late or anything like that? Do you have a policy on that? Do you know?
So we've had that for January entry. So for January entry courses, we needed students to be in Dundee by the start of April.
Yeah.
But for September, I don't think it's been confirmed as to when we need students to be in the UK. So
Okay.
I'm not sure about a deadline for that one at the moment.
Well, perhaps if you get one close to the time, you could share that with us.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, Jonathan. What else have we got here? Okay, so there's a question here. Final degree certificate for undergraduate is not available. Can it be submitted later, provisional already submitted? So presumably, like any university, you're happy to take a current transcript at this point in the cycle. You'd make a conditional offer on that basis potentially, and then the final transcript's required in order to get the unconditional offer. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's accurate, Gareth. We're happy to offer conditional offers, but if a student's currently studying, we can offer an offer that will say, you know, you'll be accepted on this program, subject to you submitting a final degree transcript of this certain mark or this certain grade. So yeah, you're exactly right, Gareth.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jonathan. Jonathan, just I think it's a question here around Pakistani universities. Any idea that MOI, you have that MOI list for India? Is there a similar list for Pakistan? Do you know?
Yes.
No need to find it now, but you know, if it's something we can perhaps share subsequently or link to from our portal page, that would be useful, I think, for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've got the list for India and the list for Pakistan. It's on my computer somewhere.
Okay, if you find it, please send it to me and I'll see how we can circulate that. Okay, I think we've covered most of the questions there. We have now run to time. We've got a request here to share the recording, which we can definitely do. Lots and lots of valuable information there shared by Jonathan. So I think we'll say a big thank you to Jonathan for his input today. And one thing I'm going to do before we close is just provide the link now in the chat to the University of Dundee's course page on our portal, and make sure that then everyone is able to send Jonathan lots of wonderful applications for the University of Dundee. And I'm sure there'll be lots of scholarship applications coming your way too, Jonathan. I think it was a really fantastic, informative session. So big thanks to you, and I'm sure we'll be asking you to come back and give another session at some point.
For sure, anytime.
In the future. So yeah, on that note, a big thanks also to our agents and to our Educo staff around the world. We had more than 200 participants today, so really great to see so many people coming along and interested in the University of Dundee. And Jonathan, big last thank you to you, and we'll be in touch soon, I'm sure.
It was a pleasure. Thanks
very, very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.